All right. Welcome to another Sports Injury Central Pro Football Doc podcast. Taylor's here. Another busy Monday morning. A lot of the things that we said from Sunday evening podcast are still holding true. But of course, new updates will come in this morning, even still morning for us, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Coaches updates, and we'll update you all on that and the new stuff. And of course, talk Jayden Daniels and answer the plethora of questions. Welcome to the show, Taylor. Where do you want to start here?
We'll let people jump in before we go to Daniels. We'll go to a couple of the updates first, Doc, that we've already confirmed. Just an easy one we'll talk first. Tucker Kraft, we didn't get the confirmation last night. We got it this morning. Just awful news. He was the number one fantasy tight end. ACL confirmation this morning.
ACL plus. Whenever you get an ACL tear, you talk about the ACL as the injury, but not all ACLs are the same. He is likely ACL, MCL too. I don't know about the cartilage or the meniscus inside, but ACL is enough. That's the headliner, but there's more to it than that for Tucker Kraft. And surgery, end of his season, the whole deal. Will return next season, but maybe not for the start of the season. PUP, a lot to decipher. Not all ACLs are the same.
There's a big Monday night football game. We have a chat question real quick. AJ Brown missed one game with a hamstring. They had the bye week. Are you expecting him to be back for that Monday night game against the Packers?
I am. I think that's why he missed that game. He could have played through with a hamstring. He has before. And with the bye and the time and the vet guy and the rest and the big Packers game, the whole deal, I do think that he's got a reasonable chance. I know we always say there's no such thing as a 1 week hamstring. A, his is mild. B, it's more than 1 week because with missing the week and missing the bye and before the game, it's really 3 weeks of time, right? And so don't be surprised to see him limited, but I do think A.J. Brown will be there. He's actually got a good history of trying to play through injuries. And I always say to Eagles fans that complain that he misses so much practice and he's always on the injury report, that's why you got him. Right. That's why Tennessee let him go, because he's got bad knees and then other injury type issues. He wasn't healthy when you traded for him. And you got him. Tennessee would never given him up if he didn't have those back injuries in the background. So it's okay. Count your blessing, Eagles. And the Eagles seem to be loading up. They got Jalen Phillips and others. And I think it's not, I mean, look, I'm not a GM or a cap guy, but if you have the cap room, bring over Jalen Phillips. What do you give up? A 3rd round pick. And even if you don't sign him, don't you get a comp pick back? I mean, it's not a bad deal.
It's like a win-win, yeah. So, and that's just like you said, they're shooting for the Super Bowl always, right? So they had that was really one glaring hole they had on their lineup, and they filled it, right? So next one, Doc, Puka Nacua. Like remember we talked about our injury podcast yesterday. You don't like the word injury prone. It's always been thrown around. Today he is getting scans on his ribs. Tell me what you saw in the video and how that correlates with the new news.
Well, we talked about it yesterday that he fell on the ball, right? And another player on top of him. And the ball was over the center of his chest, his sternum. I think it's good news that it's not a sternal contusion. I didn't think it would be a sternal contusion because the ball, even though it can hurt, is soft. It's rib/rib cartilage. Puka's tough. He plays through injury. I would not call him injury prone. I'd say he's a tough receiver. I am not really worried about Puka playing this next week. I think he will play this next week. The report of additional imaging, yeah, that's, the recent line holds. You give out MRIs and scans like candy at Halloween. I mean, everybody gets one. Everyone who has a question mark gets one. You get offered one. That doesn't surprise me. I still think Puka plays through. I think he could have come back into the game, but for the score of that game. He was back on the sidelines, and I think he would have come back into that game, but not real worried about him. And no, do not say he's injury prone. I don't like that.
Yes, yeah. and they have a big divisional game against the Niners, so that's big news for them if he's able to go. Next one I had Kevin O'Connell is really usually forthright with his information. He said the evals have been positive on Aaron Jones and his shoulder injury. Does that fit with what you saw yesterday and what we talked about on the podcast?
Well, positive as in, it's an AC joint. And look, Aaron Jones is, I think, the type of player that will say, let's roll, let me roll. It's not my legs. And because it's not his legs and practices are non-contact, I think you'll see him at least limited in practice, if not full. I don't think you're going to see DMPs. And yes, he can get it shot up to play safely there. The reason why it's safe to shoot that joint up to play is it's a joint, but it's not like a weight-bearing joint. And if you have AC joint arthrosis or weightlifters that have a big bone spur there, the cure is to shave off the end of the bone. So if you can shave off the end of the bone and get rid of that joint and the surrounding ligaments support it, that's why it's safe to inject. Joe Flacco, we talked about 470 yards, 4 touchdowns. Okay, they didn't win the game in the end, but they got close with the throwing shoulder AC joint that was injected. That's why I would agree with Kevin O'Connell. And look, I have the utmost respect for Kevin O'Connell, know him, like him. He's made a lot of correct moves. And once again, he's made the right move going back to J.J. McCarthy, who had a heck of a game. This is the absence for 6 weeks, I think it was 6, 7, just joking,
6, 7
weeks, helped him learn a little bit. Look, you're drinking from the fire hose. His first 2 games, except for 1 quarter, was a little bit rough. Then he got the ankle injury. This allowed him a chance to recalibrate and sit back and learn. Okay, look, when I was doing surgery, I used to say, as a resident, I used to say my ideal was to watch my attending do a surgery, then do one, then realize what parts weren't smooth, and then watch him do another one, and then try and do one. And it's not an exact analogy, but my point is, I think J.J. McCarthy has got a chance to sit back here 6 weeks and reevaluate after drinking from the fire hose for a couple of weeks to figure out what's going on. And that's kind of what I was saying. Kevin O'Connell was being smart with the hiding behind health in the ankle. His ankle looked 100%, was 100%. And he also timed it when they got a couple of offensive linemen back, and great win for Minnesota against division rival Detroit. So kudos there all the way around.
Not as the injury related, but big news for the Chiefs. They're 5-4 coming off a loss, and they'll have a bye. Josh Simmons is back in the fold, which is we've tweeted on about it, Doc. That's fantastic news. He was dealing with a personal situation.
Look, I hope his family's fine. I don't know what the personal issue is. It's none of our business. I hope he took care of what he needed to take care of. I hope he and his family are good. And I'm sure the Chiefs welcome him back to the fold here, especially with Jawan Taylor maybe suffering an injury and a little more patchwork. The Chiefs clearly could not take advantage of the Bills' injured defensive line with 3 players out in the end, and they couldn't take advantage. Unfortunate clear Achilles on blanking on his name, Hecht, right Achilles.
Micah Hecht, yes, yeah, Micah Hecht.
And Ed Oliver still out, and then of course the calf injury too to the D tackle. So they're still going to be a little shorthanded. Chiefs couldn't take advantage with their offensive line issues, but good to see Josh Simmons back, and I think the Chiefs have treated it with class.
Another bye team I wanted to talk about, Doc, was T. Higgins. We didn't see much from the game.
One more thing on the Chiefs. I have to say. I don't know if it plays into this, but the whole intentional grounding thing. I mean, Patrick Mahomes was looking downfield. Look, I'm not being a Patrick Mahomes homer. Yes, he's my son's favorite player. No, I'm not wearing red today. Not 6'4" wet red. You are. But that one could have been an expedited review. Hey, the ball got tipped. Okay. But if they did an expedited review on that, the world would have said the NFL Park Avenue is cheating for the Chiefs. Look, if you can review a pass interference, not based on the judgment of whether there was pass interference, but the ball was tipped with a fingertip at the line of scrimmage, thereby nullifying the pass interference. why, just a question for the referee people out there, why can't you can't review the intentional grounding itself, but you could in theory review, was the ball tipped at the line of scrimmage, altering the path of the ball, thereby changing the grounding. Clearly, if an arm got hit going forward, that's a thing. And I don't know, but I get it. If they would have overruled that by expedited review, there would be a conspiracy theory going on now that the NFL wants to see Taylor Swift in the Super Bowl again and the whole deal.
Next one, Doc, I had. We're going to jump in first.
T. Higgins.
Yes, T. Higgins. Yeah, give me that. Yeah.
Didn't see a lot there on T. Higgins. Didn't see a lot.
And then they'll have a bye, so we'll have more information when we see his injury report. Next one I want to go into, this is just a Monday Night Football situation. Doc just got an update because we're trying to do the big updates and look forward. Monday Night Football, Cooper Bebe, big offensive lineman for them, was activated from his injury. He will play Monday Night Football as we kind of expected when we put in our data.
Yeah, we have it on the 6 scores already in the field views. Yes.
So that's a big
Cowboys.
Just to bring up before we go into our big topic, SIC Picks had another decent week. I believe it was 36-23 for our season-long guarantee, Doc. So that's over 60%. So I wanted to.
I know you've been wanting to talk about that, but I was like, don't jinx us, don't jinx us. Okay,
wait till mid-season.
Halfway through the season. Well, after tonight, halfway.
That's true. Yeah.
Because it's 18 weeks of the NFL season. The conclusion of Week 9 is tonight. So halfway through, and at the beginning of this season, based on our 56.5% winning percentage across 6 years against closing lines on Sunday releases, same day of game releases, we put out a guarantee that if you signed up for the season for SIC Picks, we would guarantee you a winning NFL season sides against the spread, if not complete money back on your subscription. And that total is what you just said, currently at 62%, 36 and whatever you just said.
23. Yeah.
36 and 23. Look, it's not a guarantee we'll finish the season above, but look, are we going to stay at 62%? History says we're at 56.5. But last year, we were at 54.6. So maybe we're due for 58, point whatever.
Yeah, it'll bump up. Yeah.
Even out to the 56.5%. To me, it's just about the process. And, not a perfect week, certainly, but certainly had the Commanders' defensive woes pegged right from last week and this week, right? Chiefs the week before in Seattle this week, complete offensive blowouts, right, from Sam Darnold and company. But we'll stick with that, and let's keep the numbers rolling. I think at this point we're probably pretty safe on a, knock on wood, a winning NFL season. As hard as it is to go 62% wins, it's just as hard to go 48% wins, right? I mean, because of coin flips, the lines are usually priced right. My friends told me about some league of theirs where, the top 5 finishers get paid out and the bottom finisher gets paid out too. I mean, it's like Keno.
Circa's the same way. Circa, you get you get a free entry or something if you are the worst person in the thing. They have they count it out and they rank it. So it's kind of, it's interesting.
Oh, really? I did not know that part. Thankfully, we're not anywhere near that. I mean,
it's like you said though. You can't purposely be bad. There's no way you could find a way to get to that point, right?
I know the final circles numbers aren't out for the halfway point after week 9 here. No, we're not tied for 58th like we were 2 weeks ago. I think we've dropped some
variance.
Still, I think in the top 200 probably. I mean, I don't know. It hasn't come out. 5,800 entries. We only have one entry. We're clipping along at, I think, also 60-some percent, 63% there, on the Circa picks, which is good enough right now, not to cash, not to make any money, but in the top 200. So the top, 1 or 2%, depending on how you count it, kind of deal. All right, what else we got? We're going to go to Jayden Daniels. You got
Well,
any other?
just before we do the big fish, just his own team suffered some other injuries, right? I know you saw on the first play Luke McCaffrey with his clavicle injury. That's pretty significant just because of McLaurin injury. The wide receiver options go low.
Well, let's be fair. I didn't actually see it. You and the boys sent it to me on video. I was I was taking care of the
company
kids.
was involved. Yeah,
I
everybody
did not see it. I missed the first play of the game. I just saw the ball, and all of a sudden I looked back and, oh, look, you guys sent some video. And I looked, oh, he broke his collarbone there. Clavicle fracture. His season isn't over. He could get it fixed and come back, but you could argue come back for what now? And we'll get to the Jayden Daniels thing. And then Marshon Lattimore.
That's the last one.
I'm about to post video. We found it. He tore, I'll do it shortly after this, but if you go back and look at the video, he tore his left knee ACL at the 36-yard line, the final step before going out of bounds on that defended pass play. Unfortunate for Lattimore. More defensive injuries for Washington.
All right, well, let's jump in right into Jayden Daniels, Doc. Just go first in the explanation of what you saw, and then we'll dive into much more.
All right, let's talk about Jayden Daniels' injury first, then we'll talk about the play. Some opinions on that. So Jayden Daniels, so far, everything we've said last night has essentially come true. No, we're not examining him, but what was the take-home message last night? The take-home message was, looks horrific, grotesque, gruesome, is going to be better than it looked. And that's how it's playing out. X-rays negative, MRI pending. There is some chatter now, and we said this was not career-ending, not career-threatening. Possibility of not even season-ending, and that's kind of where we're at. I don't think it's season-ending. MRI pending now. It will show torn ligaments, guaranteed. I don't know how the Commanders or the agent or others are going to report the MRI, but it will guaranteed show torn ligaments, and it will show a torn ulnar collateral ligament at least. The Tommy John ligament is torn. Relax, though. He will not need surgery. Why? He doesn't throw a football with the left side. There are many players that have torn UCLs, dislocated elbows. Khalil Mack, for one, this season, I remember, dislocated his elbow, was back at, I don't remember, 4 or 5 weeks, something like that. No more than 6 weeks.
No more than 6, yeah.
It heals. Doesn't heal as tightly. You can't throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball or an 85-mile-an-hour curveball. You can't play quarterback with your dominant throwing arm with a UCL tear, but you can play quarterback with your off arm having the tear. And other quarterbacks have done it before. So no fracture. I was open to the possibility of a chip fracture, but there was never going to be a major fracture. That thankfully is the case. But the MRI is going to show torn ligaments. He's going to go to IR 4 weeks. Does he return this season? Washington will be very careful with him, and we'll see. If Washington's out of it, why push him back? If Washington is in it come December, I think there's a reasonable chance he plays. And I'm going to say something here. I think there is more of a chance, more of a guarantee that Jayden Daniels returns to play for his team, given his left elbow dislocation and ligament tear, than Joe Burrow with his turf toe foot injury that required surgery. I'm not saying Jayden Daniels is a quicker healer or better. I'm saying by injuries, Jayden Daniels more guaranteed return than Joe Burrow. But if I were a betting man, I would say at this point it's neither, right? Because
the way they're playing,
the Bengals are, and where the Commanders are.
I just want to talk a little bit. So I saw on TV the big discussion was the score and when it happened. I was watching Rodney Harrison and Tony Dungy specifically talk about it, and they were arguing whether he should be in or not. Why was he still in? What are your thoughts on that, and whose side you would take? Rodney was very strong on taking the player out, and Tony Dungy, the former head coach, was more, keeping the player in, saying Peyton Manning would look him crazy in the face if he told him to get out early. So just tell me your thoughts on the whole.
Well, there's a lot of levels here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll address the Rodney and Tony Dungy things. I know Rodney a lot better than I know Tony Dungy. Rodney's my guy. Just got inducted to the Chargers Hall of Fame this last week. I was texting with him. Love Rodney Harrison to death. But the irony is, when Rodney was a young star player with us in San Diego. Now, admittedly, I'm just the team physician. I don't make the calls on pulling a guy or not pulling a guy.
Right.
If you would have tapped Rodney and said, we're losing by 28, leave this game, Rodney might have punched you. I'm not, this is my team. I'm going to go with them out on the field. Right. And so I get why Rodney said what he said. And look, he is someone who I think should be in the Hall of Fame. So I don't have anything negative to say about him. Mm-hmm. And he's very empathetic to players and their viewpoint. And looking at it with the lens that he got hurt, of course, everyone would say, well, why'd you, hindsight? It's like, why'd you go for it on fourth down? You didn't make it, Right, I mean, why'd you punt? You should have kicked the field goal. Whatever the decision is, it's easy to get second guessed. But I do like the debate that he and Tony Dungy had. Tony Dungy said one thing, Rodney said the other. I find it internally a little bit humorous that wild horses couldn't have dragged Rodney Harrison off the field. Doesn't matter what the scoreboard said, right? I mean, that's the interesting part of it. And so I back Rodney up on all of everything that he's saying, but here's my question. Would we have the same reaction? I mean, in the moment, I think most people thought, this is horrific. This is RG3. This is the end of this guy's career, maybe. Right. It looks that gruesome. But if you looked at it with the lens of, it's 4-week IR, still not great.
Right.
It's not surgical. That news hasn't come out yet. It's not career threatening or ending. That news is leaking out with the maybe ability to return this season. Maybe there's less of a lens of, you clearly had to pull him kind of situation. I don't know. I mean, in the moment, their leader, their young star, it looked really bad. The looks on players' faces and the whole thing. Rodney Harrison is unbelievable, and he's a compassionate human being. I get it. He's a player's guy. But what Tony was saying was, okay, so I pull Jayden Daniels. And Rodney's point, to be fair, was, well, he was injured.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention next. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so it gives you the excuse to pull him. I still don't think it would have made a difference for Rodney if someone said, you're injured, we're going to pull you. But
you have a hamstring, Rodney, come out. He's like,
it's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But he was cleared to play, and the Commanders have been very conservative about returning him to play. They have been protecting him. But if you do pull him for injury, okay, fine. Then should you pull Laremy Tunsil, their left tackle? He had a hamstring issue.
Pull Debo. He had a heel issue.
Pull Debo.
Yeah.
He had a heel issue. Zach Ertz, he's probably got something.
He had something a couple weeks ago. Absolutely. Yes.
I mean, where do you draw the line? You got to have enough players to finish the game. Or do you allow the NFL to do what you do in little kid baseball, like for my son, have a mercy rule? After 3 innings, it's 15. After 4 innings, it's 10, especially in tournaments. You call the game and whatever. That's the safest thing to do. If nobody's winning the game and the score is 30, the winners won 38-7, give the coach an option to say, we're just going to kneel it down, or give the coach an option to end the game. Obviously, gambling and fantasy and TV.
They won't have it. Yeah.
But from a pure injury perspective, what about the other 10 guys you're leaving out there on offense? And what about the guys you still want to play defense? So I see Tony Dungy's perspective. But I think part of this is, here we go, Washington Commanders are ruining another young guy. I don't think that's the case. I don't think Dan Quinn was doing that. And do you want me to get I don't know. I kind of want to stay in the doctor lane, but I guess I can't help myself a little bit. All right, let's do this from the doctor's lane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What was, when Jayden Daniels was drafted, what was the narrative on Jayden Daniels? At that point in time, he was the number 2 pick. Caleb was number 1. What was the knock on Jayden Daniels when he was drafted? Heisman winner.
Heisman winner, yeah. Slender man. He's very
slender.
Skinny.
He's a stick figure. He's gonna run and get hit and get broken.
Right.
And he had a heck of a first year. CJ Stroud breakout first year. Mm-hmm. He elevated himself to a top 10, if not higher, quarterback in that first year. He took Washington to the playoffs and deep. There were a lot of high hopes on repeating into the playoffs, winning the division. The narrative of Jayden Daniels is going to get hurt went away for the start of this year. Everyone looked at the shiny bright light of Jayden Daniels' stardom. But what has happened this year? He got hurt MCL on a running scramble play. He got hurt hamstring trying to escape the rush, extend a play. He got hurt last night on a scramble play where he kept the ball and ran, tried to get extra yardage. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying Jayden Daniels is injury prone. I'm not saying he's too thin to play in the NFL. I do say all the time, the more double black diamond ski runs you take, the more likely you are to injure yourself skiing. Right. The more times you rush the ball as a quarterback and it's part of your game, the more exposure that you have. That is why we have been fading Anthony Richardson, because he runs the ball a lot and he's really good at it. But, you know, the other guys are bigger and are going to hit him. Jayden Daniels has now hit some bad luck trying to extend plays, when the first year he had a lot of good luck extending plays. I'm not saying he's injury prone. Look, my guy Phillip Rivers has the Ironman streak. He got his share of injuries in the pocket.
Right.
But he didn't get very many, if any, out of the pocket because he wasn't that mobile and he threw the ball away or he got down. He didn't have the ability to extend plays and put himself at risk, right? Every time he came up on a double black diamond run, he went and skied the blue or green route and picked a longer route down, right? Yep. I mean, so he didn't get injured as often. And when he did, he made it through. And so he did get injured. But this is what I'm saying about Jayden Daniels. And you know what? I heard the post-game press conference. Now look at it through my lens. Post-game press conference, and I'm paraphrasing, Dan Quinn was asked, did you think about pulling him out of the game, or should you have pulled him out of the game? And he said something, of course, hindsight is always 20/20, but he said that play was not designed as a scramble. 50 times out of 100, I'm paraphrasing, that's supposed to be a run, a handoff. The other 50, it's supposed to be a pass. That's not designed as a scramble. Is he throwing shade at Jayden Daniels? No, right? Is he? But he is saying, look, I'm not dumb. I didn't tell him
in that position.
Yeah, he made an instantaneous read and decided that's what's best for his team at the moment. Was it a smart decision in retrospect? Maybe not. But if you would have run the play that we called and not improvised, he probably doesn't get hurt. So that's what Dan Quinn was saying. Yeah, he's still in the game, but I wasn't putting him at risk per se. And that's something young QBs have to learn. It's, it's not just the Phillip Rivers. LT used to live to fight another day. He had a fifth gear where he could shift his body or head or something so that you couldn't get a kill shot on him that last second. It didn't gain him an extra yard, but he just shift. So he'd slip the blow. Or when there was no more yards to gain, he'd step out of bounds to avoid the hit, the cumulative hit. That's part of learning the game. And I'm not saying it's his fault. I mean, his competitive spirit, he wanted to go, but that's kind of where I stand on it, somewhere in between. In a perfect world, especially if he had injury that he could aggravate, okay, come out. But I don't think that was the case because of hamstring. But young fellows, you either just got to get down or throw the ball when it's time to throw the ball, or hand it off when it's time to hand it off, especially knowing the score at 38-7. And to be fair, that Bengals game yesterday with Joe Flacco with a throwing shoulder injury, getting injected, old guy, got to protect him, pull him. They came back to lead. Now they lost in the end on a fluky play, but they got the onside kick, and that was a huge deficit. And they came back to almost win that game. They actually led in that game. And that deficit might have been close to as big as the Commanders' deficit. I'm not saying they were going to win the game, but I'm just saying at that point, I get why they were trying. But the one thing I guess you could learn from it, you weren't going to win the game on scrambling. I don't know what down that was. I've always said, and you probably know, I don't remember. I actually was putting my little one, my 8-year-old, to bed when the injury happened, and you guys started calling me saying, DEFCON 1, take a look. Look, if it was on 3rd down or 4th down and he needed to do that to get the first down, you got to do what you got to do.
That's like Tua. When Tua got his concussion, remember? Tua got his concussion. It was like 4th and 1. I remember he had to like dive to get the first down.
I think that might have been a later one. He got criticized for.
Yes,
for
remember? Yeah.
That. But I was like, what do you want the guy to do? He was trying to get the first down. You know, I mean, kind of thing. But in any case, enough said. Not critical of Jayden Daniels at all, or Dan Quinn, or Rodney, or Tony Dungy. Just discussing things. Once again, the narrative of Jayden Daniels was overly simplified. He's too skinny. He's a stick figure. He's going to get broken when he's hit. No, that's not true. He played a great first year. And now what? He's injury prone. They shouldn't have had him out there for this whole rest of the time. It's the game of football. Maybe handle the plays differently or take less risk. I don't think he's injury prone. I mean, everyone's prone to injury in the NFL if you take the risk. And he's taking perhaps a little too much risk.
I was just looking for the play. It was 2nd down, 2nd and 2 on the Seattle 2. So he was it was on the goal line play.
Oh, so he's trying to score, trying to get his team back into it.
Just running and he got sacked. Yeah.
I mean, he's trying to escape. Throw the ball, live to 3rd and 2. I don't know. Not criticizing in the moment. He's trying to win. He's got the competitive spirit, but I don't. Easy to say he got injured, and this is what you should do.
All right, Doc.
Well, now with the lens, it's not season or career, and this, that, the other. Maybe there's more forgiveness for Dan Quinn.
And like you said, that was the initial thought when you saw on Twitter. It looked like they were like, "Oh my God, he's out for the season." And things have changed now.
And I saw the RG3 comparisons. They're ruining this kid, and no, I don't think that's the case.
Well, Doc, we talked so about many other players on our podcast yesterday. So if anybody has any other insights, they're at sixscore.com on our latest podcast that we did yesterday. Anything else, Doc? We finished up. If you want to look at any of the other Jayden Daniel news, just rewind, look at the past stuff that we just said.
Well, and I will say this. I think our biggest purpose in life, I don't relish saying Luke McCaffrey looks like a clavicle fracture. Gee, we're right. His season is over. I do like the role of it'll be okay. For example, I went on Sirius XM last night with JT the Brick, and he was like, well, he's at the hospital now, probably. I'm like, no, I don't think he even goes to the hospital. I think there's x-rays at the stadium, and he can go home in a brace with a wrap, and they'll get the MRI tomorrow. There's no nerve artery damage. There's no bone through the skin. There's no surgery that needs to be done tonight. As a matter of fact, I don't think he's going to need surgery. We talked about all that. And JT was surprised a little bit. He's awesome. I love JT. But my point is, hopefully what we put out last night comforted Washington Commanders fans some. Yes. grotesque, but it's good, kind of thing.
Quiet the storm a little bit.
I
Yeah.
prefer that, especially in the NFL. They say never too high, never too low, and so voice of reason a little bit. I know, Taylor, you're hot on college basketball and NBA and even hockey. I saw on my Twitter timeline.
Yes.
But let's keep the basketball. Maybe we'll do a little special basketball update pod tomorrow.
Yeah,
or something.
absolutely. Yeah.
The NFL. We've had our over 30 minutes now, and I'm sorry I pontificated a little too much. And love Rodney Harrison. None of that was a negative towards him. It's just, he's always looking out for people. I loved his words about Junior. I guess that didn't get shown on TV.
On TV, yeah, you had to be there. Yeah,
into the Chargers Hall of Fame, that he owed it all to Junior. Love Rodney, my guy. And my only plea is, can we start the movement again and get him into the Hall of Fame? I think he's a Hall of Fame deserving player. Belichick agrees with it. Others should agree. Let's get him back on the ballot if we can. I think he deserves it, but that's my bias. All right. Thanks for watching and listening. Pro Football Doc, Sports Injury Central podcast, Believe, and other places. And we'll maybe see you tomorrow. Chat basketball, of course, Twitter and the website and the whole deal. Thanks for watching. Anything else, Taylor?
Oh, thank you. Just like and subscribe. And yeah, any sport updates, basketball, NFL at sicscore.com. Thank you.
All right.